morning, dear students. I work at Kyrgyz-Uzbek University at the Historical Philological Faculty at the Chair of English Philology. I am instructor Pazilova Tунукай. Today we are going to conduct lesson for the second course students on the subject Practical Course of English. The main topic of our lesson is learning the vocabulary. Objectives of the lesson is importance of learning the vocabulary, expected results. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to understanding the importance of learning the vocabulary, using different websites to enlarge their background vocabulary, establishing different helpful methods to learn the new words. As an agenda, first is which words do learners need to know? What about other words? Basic principles for learning words. How much should learners know and by when should they know it? What does it mean to know a word? And the last is references. Before beginning of our lesson, I want to ask you a question, like, what do you think? How many words are there in English? Let's try to guess. The English language has arguably the most synonyms of any language in the world. In fact, the number of words in the English language is 1,025,109. Currently, there is a new word created every 98 minutes or about 14 words per day. Native speakers of English have a vocabulary of 20,000, around 35,000 words. I have a question for you, like, which words do learners need to know? The first thing we have to pay attention for the common words. These words are important because they are used in all speaking, listening, reading, and writing situations, in everyday life and academic life. You will have a question like, how can I know for sure which words are the most common words? Certain common words have been demonstrated through corpora research to be high-frequency words. Corpora is easier to obtain information on frequencies, grammatical pattern, collocations by means of computers than manually. What kind of corpus we need to use? This is a very useful site for you to use to know the words in corpora. Corpora teach us frequency, like which words and expressions are the most frequent and which are rare. Frequency lists are useful to help us make choices about what to teach and in what order. Also, we will pay attention like differences in speaking and writing, how frequent word is in different corpora, and the comparison of the frequency of vocabulary in newspapers, academic texts, and conversations. Last one is context of use, information about speakers and the situations in which conversations take place. And you can find formal and informal words in corpora using the corpora website. Types of common words. In fact, most native speakers of English regularly use around 5,000 general high-frequency words in everyday life. And there are around 600 high-frequency academic words used regularly for academic purposes. These words are important because they have been scientifically demonstrated to be the most frequently used words in English, in all speaking, listening, reading, and writing situations, in everyday life and academic life. You will have such questions like, where are these words? Where you can find these words? One of the important thing you should know, word lists. This is the general service list. This contains the most frequently occurring words used in everyday English. Also, depending on one's learning goals, the academic word list. General word list, like vocabulary resources for download. You can use this site. This is very useful for you to find all the general word list and also academic word list. You will have such words on your screen. You can find like the first 1,000 words of the general service list. This is for you for using these sites. You can also find the academic word list. And you will have question like, what is academic words? Academic word list words are found in over 90% of all academic reading texts, academic lectures, in all subjects. Therefore, all learners must learn all the academic word list words in order to succeed at university and colleges. It's clear learners need to know words that appear in the language and how frequently. In fact, like high-frequency words are so important that anything that teachers and learners can do to make sure they are learned is worth doing. And considerable time should be spent on learning them. Approximately 25% of language programs should focus on vocabulary learning and teaching. Furthermore, vocabulary knowledge is increasingly understood to be key to overall language ability. Around 71% of overall language proficiency. It's clear that without grammar, very little can be conveyed. Without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed. By Wilkins. And you will have question like, what about other words you should know? For the most learners, it calls off-list words are minimal importance because they are not commonly used. In other words, these are low-frequency words. Learners won't meet them often, or specialist words, used mostly within a particular discipline or field of study. How best to learn words? This is very important, like learning the vocabulary in English. Basic principles. What does it mean to know a word? What to do and what not to do, using new words, keeping it interesting. First questions like, what does it mean to know a word? First, you have to pay attention for spelling of the words. You have to spell the words. Through the spelling, you can understand, you will keep in your mind the construction of the word. Second thing, very important, like stress of the word. Third is pronunciation. You have to pronounce correctly this word. Then meaning, and recognize this, like meeting in reading and listening. produce, you have to use in your speech this word. And other words in the same family, like noun, verb, adjective, adverb forms of the verb. And also, it's very important using these words in idioms and using in collocations. How many new words do you learn every day? This is very important to know. And what to do and what not to do in order to enlarge your vocabulary. Learners should aim to learn about 5 to 7 new words every day. Remember, they will never keep up with all the new words that are being created every day. So keep your goal realistic. Review words often, like repeat it. Carry them around with your phone or with your cards and notebooks. Learners should focus on learning the word in its high-frequency form first. After that, once the word is well known, they can focus on learning the other parts of speech. Also, make it fun, like it will be interesting for you. Create or use ready-made games and have learners work on groups to create review activities for the whole class. Repeated exposure. Like how many times do you need to hear or see a word in order to remember it? 5, 16. What accounts for this range? The type of exposure, word length, pronunciation, and abstractness, etc. And what about vocabulary size? So, how many words do your students need to know? Or how many words you need to know? It depends vocabulary size. In fact, by novels, learners learn 9,000 word families. On newspapers, 8,000 word families. Spoken English, 7,000 word families. Children's movies, 6,000 word families. In order to keep it interesting, you have to use different sites, different games to download it on your cell phone. This is one of the interesting site in order to do it interesting. Quizlet.com. Quizlet likes similar benefits as traditional note cards, but easier to carry around and access. You have to type the word, and you can hear the word like pronunciation, and also you can find the definition of the word there, and you will be given different games in order to keep this word in your mind. And also academic word list, like useful practice site for you in order to practice these words by yourself. And also this site will be helpful for you to practice your vocabulary on your laptop and cell phone. This is a note cards, and I think you traditionally use this style learning effective. Like students can customize the information that they write on note cards, and then on the back side they will write the definition of the word. And what about collocations? What is a collocation? When we teach collocations, we help students avoid common errors such as a collocation like soft corner, heavy rain, homework, lazy man, creative art, and the collocations with verb, like we have to know which verb should should add with different words like, for example, make sure, make difference, make sense, make decisions, make money. And for do, like do anything, something, like whatever, homework. This is verbs and related expressions. It's called like collocations of the word. Also, you can pay attention for go, play, read, because when we use with collocations, the meaning of the word is changed. Remind learners there is no end to learning vocabulary. It's a lifelong journey. Don't stop in order to enlarge your vocabulary every day. How much should learners know and when should they know it? It depends on the levels. Sometimes we really interested our levels, what levels we are. What do the levels actually mean? Level, how do they relate to our learners' vocabulary learning needs? High frequency word lists, like learners at A1 and A2 levels, like beginners to pre-intermediate, should focus on the 1000 word level. Learners at A2 and up to B2, elementary to intermediate, should focus on the 2000 word level. Learners at B2 and up to C2, upper intermediate to advanced, should focus on words beyond the first 2000. If they have academic goals, learners at B2 level and above should include the academic word list once they have mastered the second 1000 general word list. Here is the references you can use in order to enlarge, also to find the information about the word vocabulary. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, just let me know to send to my email.